Hey, this is the next video for the stuff you're always too scared to ask about in church, and you can ask about it here. Today we're going to talk about what are the dangers of going to a Christian school. Now, before you delete this still may have a lot of relevance for you, even if you don't go to a Christian school. These ideas are great for anyone who has a lot of Christians in their life. I'm talking to you. So here we go. We're going to head at it. Here's the answer. Boing! Hey, so this question is, what are the dangers of going to a Christian school? What should I watch out for? My answer to what should I watch out for is watch out for all the same stuff you'd watch out for at a public school. All right, so there's three things that I think are possible dangers of a Christian school. One is hypocrisy. People say they believe one thing, but they do something different. Here's why that could be a danger to you, is believing that sin's okay, or a sin's not that bad because that person who is a Christian does that thing, so it must not be that bad. Sin's sin, and we all struggle with different things. Don't let somebody else's struggle or laughing about their struggle, don't let that be don't let that set a new standard for what's okay for you. You need to listen to the Holy Spirit in your own life. Okay, second thing that I think might be a danger in going to a Christian school could be the lack of evangelism. Certainly not I'm not saying everyone at a Christian school is a Christian, but undeniably everyone has the opportunity or hears about it. And it's not like you can walk around and look for opportunities to present the gospel, because it's kind of presented a lot. Okay, so at a public school, you would have opportunities to lead people to Jesus. You would have, like, every day, you have an opportunity to lead someone to Jesus. At a private school or a Christian school, you don't. That's part of my story. I have a gift of evangelism, and when I was in high school, my campus life leader would huddle us up every Wednesday morning at his house, and he would make us cinnamon rolls, and he would teach us how to present the gospel to somebody. And he told us, you can do this. And I believed him. So I went and I tried. And he told us try to present the gospel once a month. And I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna be an overachiever. I'm gonna try to present the gospel every day. And I did. I would try to present the gospel, not necessarily lead someone to Jesus, but present the gospel to somebody every single day. I loved it. I loved it. It set a fire inside of me. That's what, I'm not saying everyone else should do that. I was made for that. Everyone else should present the gospel whenever God gives them the opportunity. But God was giving me tons of opportunities, every day. And it set a fire up in me. And I knew that everyone in school was watching me. I had surgeries. I had a surgery on my foot when I was a junior in high school, and then I got infected and so I was still in a cast into my senior year. And everybody was looking for me to gripe, and I wouldn't, because I knew they were watching me. And I wanted to show them what Jesus looked like inside of me. And so I made sure that I was living a life that would honor Jesus. And so my senior year, I could walk up to anybody and be like, hey, I want to tell you about something that Jesus did in my life. And they're like, yeah, what is it? I want to know, because whatever you got is real. You don't have that same incongruence. There was an incongruence between the way I lived and the way many other people lived when I went to DeKalb. But when I went to Huntington University, that incongruence was not there anymore. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the Christian school environment myself, because God made me different. And so I loved having the opportunities to share my faith. And when I'm talking college now, when I went to Huntington, I was surprised. Not everybody goes to church on Sunday? I couldn't believe it. And it would have been very easy for me to think, oh, well, I'm at a Christian school. If the rest of my floor doesn't go to church, if my friends here don't go to church on Sunday, maybe it's not that important. Makes sense. That goes into number one, the hypocrisy thing. What somebody else struggles with, don't let that be what you struggle with. Like don't pass it off as it's okay because they did it. So that's number one, hypocrisy. Level number two is lack of evangelism, lack of being around non-Christians. Listen, you got to find, the rest of your life, you have to find places where you can go be Jesus to other people. I work at the church, right? So I don't know a lot of people that aren't Christians. Everybody I know is a Christian. Like, not everybody I know, but like pretty much everybody I know is a Christian, honoring Jesus. Like, how am I supposed to have an opportunity to share Christ with somebody? I had to make those opportunities. And so I started going places where I could run into non-believers. And yeah, so I do. Okay, and the third thing that I think might be a danger of going to a Christian school, something to watch out for, would be, I wrote down super holiness, but I think the better word might be projected holiness. There are certain things that, okay, you can't tell where my head ends. Let me, is that better? There we go. Yeah. There are certain things in, make sure, yeah, okay. This would be an edit. There are certain things in Christianity that are absolute, like, we know how God feels about this thing. We know how God feels about it. Like the Ten Commandments. That's black and white. There's some black and whites. But there's some other things in Christianity that aren't black and white. Let me think of an example. Alcohol. There you go. Alcohol is not black and white. The Bible's pretty clear not to be drunk, overcome with drunkenness. Yeah. Some people should never touch any alcohol. Like if you're not 21, first of all. You shouldn't touch it at all, because that's breaking the law. But the Bible doesn't say, it's not real clear that no one, all adult, like it doesn't say never drink alcohol, anybody. And at that point, that becomes an issue of color. What was I saying? Oh man, I wish I had a pause right now. Projected holiness. Okay, so it would be easy for me, because God's told me, like, don't drink. It would be easy for me to then project that holiness that God's put on my life and project it onto everyone else and say, it would be a sin for anybody to drink ever. That's one example. Gosh, I have a ton I wrote a blog about it a long time ago. I'll try to link to it. Gosh, I'm having trouble thinking of examples. Just because God tells me that I will not watch any PG-13 movie or worse, because I'm going to be sanctified. Like, that's awesome if God tells you to do that. That's great. But don't tell everybody in the world you are not a Christian unless you do these exact things. Yeah, I'm going to try to link to my blog on projected holiness that I wrote a long time ago. So I think those are the dangers of a Christian school. Hypocrisy, not having an opportunity to proclaim Jesus, and then therefore you think that you don't need to do that the rest of your life. You're going to a Christian school so you can prepare yourself for the rest of your life, and the rest of your life, you need to be proclaiming the gospel. And so find opportunities to tell other people about Jesus. And if you want to get with me, I'll do like a little one-on-one and you could pretend to lead me to Jesus. That's how I did it. I learned how to lead people to Jesus because I pretended to lead people to Jesus. Not even kidding. I practiced. I practiced on Christians. So if I screwed up, nobody went to hell. And then the third would be projected holiness. I think might be a danger. But the benefits of a Christian school is that you can be prepared and you can have the seed of Christ instilled into your heart, ready to be multiplied over and over the rest of your life. So I think that's awesome. What's your question? What thing about Christianity has you tripped up? What are you a little bit scared to ask? You can ask it here. It's safe. This is a safe place to talk about our thoughts. Hi, Lizzie. So let me know. Click below and fill out the form to ask a completely anonymous question.